Hello there, valued listener. I hope you're having a beautiful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you're listening from. Welcome to the very first podcast episode ever posted to GenevievePerez9.wordpress.com. This will be an interesting episode for sure. You'll either love it or hate it. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get this party started. A central theme here on this blog is indeed womanhood and consequentially motherhood. I, as a writer, have channeled a lot of my motherly sentiments into poetry since the birth of my daughter nearly a year and a half ago, so I've got a hefty collection of mommy and woman poems, many of which I actually have posted here on this website. In fact, for the purpose of this episode, I've extracted some of the poems from my writing sample page and put them over here so you can follow along, because we will be analyzing them from the poet's point of view. All that being said, let us begin. I'll ease us in with a shorty. This one is titled Mother. It goes, I don't have a child, I am a mother. And that's it. That's the whole thing. Actually, from now on, when I finish a poem, I'm going to say over, like I'm on a walkie-talkie, and that'll signify that the poem is over. So, I don't have a child, I'm a mother. Over. So to provide some context, I wrote this poem based on a conversation I had with my now boyfriend back when we were early on in our courting process. He is childless and he's only 24, so I was really trying to drive it home to him that I'm not just a dating prospect to look at and think, oh, she's got a kid, but she's still just a regular 22-year-old chick who'll be able to give me the standard amount of attention for young people dating at our age. Because I'm not, and I can't. Becoming a mother has completely changed my personality and my priorities and my perspective of the world around me. There are things I cannot do and risk anymore that maybe I would take a chance on if I did not have my daughter. There are expectations I have of him as a partner, qualities like exceptional maturity, a drive for protection, provision, and the like. And I thought after this conversation, yeah, I don't have a child, but instead I am a mother. I feel that this jarring, seemingly paradoxical statement communicates this sentiment efficiently, and it creates in the reader this sort of hard-hitting shock of the reality of motherhood that I hoped to incite in my boyfriend that morning on our coffee date before he was my boyfriend. I'll read it one more time for good measure. I don't have a child. I am a mother. Over. Moving forward. This next poem is only 5 lines long, so not getting into anything too crazy, but this one is a little darker. This one is called Womanhood. It goes as follows. Womanhood is chaos and hopeless screaming, like the screeching babble of a malfunctioning computer. Over. So this one is definitely on the darker side, a little helpless and negative, but I think it captures the feelings that honestly every woman goes through at some point or another. There's a helplessness that every woman has to submit to, resign herself to, at some point in her maturation process. You realize at some point or another that men are not like women. They cannot possibly understand a woman's emotions to the extent that another woman can. They do not understand the female experience, which involves much more fear of the world and other neurotic feelings, all of which are completely justified. A woman will understand this, but a man just can't because he hasn't lived it. And we need the men to protect us and steady our raging sea. So we've got to accept that half the world, including the men who we must depend on emotionally and physically, does not get it. Even the good ones, they'll listen, but they can't understand. And that's a hard thing to accept. I wrote this poem after listening to a song by the band Parquet Courts. The song is called Lanza, and they actually composed it along with artist Danielle Lupi. The song basically describes a woman being creeped on by a strange man on public transportation. He refuses to move his gaze no matter what she tries, and she questions whether she should only leave the house in a trash bag, if she must live forever on the defense to keep men like this away. It's a song which really effectively captures this helplessness that is really inextricable from womanhood. At the end of the song, the instrumentals devolve into this clicking, beeping whine of a malfunctioning computer, and that's what got me thinking. I liken women to computers in this poem because I think that unseasoned men, being men who have not worked to try to understand the female experience or who may not have had a woman express these feelings to them, these men expect women to function the way they do, which I think is not dissimilar from the way a computer functions when you're comparing men to women anyway. So when women express this discomfort in everyday situations, like encountering a creep on the subway or whatever else, men often chalk it up to noisy, unintelligible, whiny babble. a deviation from what quote-unquote should be their behavior, a malfunction of sorts. And this is no diss to men. Even the most sensitive, understanding men will simply never be able to understand the female experience, and that's unfortunately okay. It's sort of like how when your computer malfunctions, you recognize that there's something going on in there that you can't understand, and all you can do is power it off and back on, remedy it the best you can. But that computer, oh boy, I bet that computer feels terribly misunderstood. But it'll quit its fit at some point and continue on functioning, just as a woman does. I'll read the poem again for you to close this out. Womanhood is chaos and hopeless screaming, like the screeching babble of a malfunctioning computer. Over. It looks like I've already gone above and beyond my time limit here, so I'll quit the analyses here. I hope you've enjoyed this insight into my poetry, and I hope I've inspired you to take a look at my other poems, which I'll link below, or maybe even to write some of your own about your experience and your body. I hope you have a fabulous day, and tune in for future additions to my site. Until next time.